Hi. All right, we're going to wait for people to join us, and I'm going to invite Chaim. Well, once he logs on. Hi, Gabi, and Richard, and Avram. All right. Hmm. Hi, Gabi. All right, we got a lot of good questions, but feel free to write your questions here so that we can answer them as soon as Chaim gets on. Um, yeah, and ask us anything you want to know about Naale. Sorry. There we go. Chaim's going to be joining us. Hi, Chaim.
Shalom, shalom. Hello, everyone.
Hey. All right. So people are joining us. We got some really good questions. Just as a quick reminder um, for the new people who weren't with us last week. So I'm Chaya. I'm in charge of social media and registration, and this is Chaim, who's going to introduce himself.
I'm the director for the Western World region of Naale. And Chaya is
Oh,
also a graduate of Naale. And I've been
yes.
working with Naale for the past 15 years. So we're very happy to see more people joining us.
Yeah, this is very exciting. Okay, so let's get started. Don't forget you can write your questions down and I'll be reading them and asking them as the session progresses. So, one question that we got that we keep on getting is what's happening this coming September? People seem to be very nervous about that.
Well, that's a very good question. And we, of course, are also nervous, but we're very um, doing everything that we can to try to see that we'll be able to start the school year on September 1st. Right now, we mainly are dependent on what's going on in all the other countries and everything that's going to take place with the airlines. So our hope is that sometime around July, we will be able to do the screenings again in different countries and cities. And if we will be able to do the screening in July, then there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to start on September 1st. We also have a plan B in case July will be still not able to do the screenings. We might do them a little bit later and then have the students join us after the Sukkot break, which is the beginning of October. So anyway, our plans and what we're thinking is that we will have, of course, the new students joining us. And the question is just whether it's going to be on September 1st or maybe October, depending on what's going on in the world, which we don't know at the moment.
Okay, so just to go a little bit further about the interviews, as you could see, one of the questions that we got was where will the interviews be? Will they be online, or what about the flight restrictions?
So again, it depends. Our goal, because for us it's very important to see the students, not only do it online. So we do want to do the screenings in the different cities. Hopefully, we'll be able to do screenings in Berlin, São Paulo, Buenos Aires, United States, different cities, um, France, etc. So our hope is that in July the flight situation will enable us to do that. Right now, I just spoke to our travel agent, and actually, they're starting to have some flight in the beginning of May already. Very, very few flights, but this is May, so we're looking forward that July maybe it will be already possible to fly again.
Okay. Um, all right, so we have a question about, so do kids get sent home to their family on holy holidays, or do they stay at their boarding schools?
So basically, what happens during the holiday depends on both the students, the families, and the schools. So usually, most students will go out and spend the holidays at home at host families somewhere in Israel. And sometimes in the longer vacation, for instance, during the Pesach vacation, which is about 2 weeks, sometimes the parents do fly the kids back home. It's up to the parents, the students. Most boarding schools stay open during most of the holidays, so students who want to stay in the boarding school are able to do so. Some schools close for part of the days, and then everybody goes to host families. So it depends on the holiday, on the students, etc.
Okay, Samuel asks, what about Italy?
What about Italy? Well, Italy, I guess, right now is not very different than a lot of other countries. So I guess the same thing will be about Italy. Hopefully, right now, I understand in Italy, slowly, they're also starting to open up some things. So if everything stays calm and the coronavirus won't go up again, then we also hope to be able to do a screening in Italy in July.
All right. We have a question. Max asks, I'm a 10th grader now. If I want to come as an 11th grader, is that possible? We answered that last week, but feel free
All
to
right.
answer again.
Basically, most students start in the 9th or 10th grade because that is when we have the Hebrew Ulpan program. So that's when we teach the students Hebrew about 18 hours a week. So most students will come in these grades. In very rare cases, we will accept somebody in the 11th grade, but it will only be in case they have a very high level of Hebrew and they don't need the Ulpan anymore. So if they know how to read, write, and speak in Hebrew in a good enough level, we'll give them a Hebrew test during the screenings. And if they pass this test, then in some cases, we will accept somebody into the 11th grade.
Okay. Let's see. Ooh, somebody asked, does the boarding school provide personal equipment?
Personal equipment. Well, the board, I don't know what personal equipment exactly is, but basically the students receive their school uniforms in school that they have a uniform. They'll receive bed sheets, etc. They receive some the school books, etc. What they need. So usually they just have to bring their personal belongings, such as clothes, shoes, towels. Basically, I think that's the main things. All the rest they do get as a school, and they also get some allowance, so they can buy some things that they need. Um,
All right. Question about students that are currently studying in Naale but are abroad. What are they doing for the Bagrut exams? And then also, would you be able to explain a little bit more about what the Bagrut is?
okay, again, it's about students who are currently abroad or in Israel.
Yeah, currently abroad. Like
Okay.
they're Naale students, but they went back for Pesach when the situation began.
Okay, so basically already a week, 2 weeks ago, we, Naale, gave a list to the Ministry of Education of all the students who are currently abroad. And the Ministry of Education has a committee that, among others, is supposed to also look into this question and see how and which way it will be possible for students to take the Bagrut. We don't have an answer yet from the Ministry of Education. We don't know how and if it will be possible. The other option is that hopefully also by the first Bagrut is in the end of June. So it might be a possibility by then for the students to be able to come back to Israel, and then they just be able to take the Bagruts here. It's mainly important for 12th graders because 11th graders, in the worst case scenario, may be able to make up some Bagruyot in the next year. But 12th grader, it's very important that they do Bagruyot so they can finish and receive a full Israeli matriculation certificate. The Bagruyot are basically the final exams that all the students, state standardized as final exam that all the students in Israel take in different subjects. And in the end, that composes their matriculation certificate.
Yeah, or their high school diploma for Americans.
Americans don't use matriculation, no?
No, we don't say that.
Good to
It was a word I learned when I came to this country. Um, so a question that we have, what, sorry?
Maybe it's the British term.
Must be the British influence. So another question that we have is, do all schools start at ninth grade or only a few?
So most schools nowadays will begin in the 9th grade. I think basically we have only one school at the moment which don't start at the 9th grade, which is Ayanot, which starts in the 10th grade, but all other schools have a 9th grade option. And there's one school where it's only possible to start in the ninth grade, and that is Naale in the Anier progress. And all other schools today have both options. Sorry,
Okay.
also Hadassim also only starts in the 10th grade.
Okay. Um, Sorry. In Israel, they're having sports outside for, while we're all locked inside. A question that we have now is, do Naale students need laptops?
Do Naale students need laptops? So basically, we do have computers in all the schools, computers, room, etc. Uh, but it's very convenient if an Naale student has bring their own laptop with them, but it's not mandatory. So you don't have to bring a laptop, but it's very useful to have one for those that anyways have a laptop, or you can use an iPad or tablet, etc. But if they don't, the school has places with computers, etc. So.
Okay. Another question that we have is, how hard is the entrance exam?
Okay, it's you can't say hard. Basically, the entrance exam is nothing you can prepare for, so it's not something you have to study for. And the goal of the entry exam is for us to assess whether the student who applies has a good chance of succeeding in the program. So we look mainly to see if we can, from what we can predict, the psychologist can predict, is do we think that if the student will come to Israel, come to a boarding school, whether they succeed academically, socially, emotionally, etc. So I don't know if I would say it's hard. It's more of a kind of a screening. So it's not really a test. It's more of a screening day, and we do our best to assess and make the right decisions.
Okay. Marcio from Brazil asks, how many students does the program receive on average per year?
Okay, so in the past few years, we had about 700, somewhere around 700 new students joining us every year, and currently we have about 2,000 students that are in the program at the moment. Um, so that's our numbers, and we have, if already you're talking about numbers, we also have about 18,000 graduates since the program started.
Okay. A question about the counselors. Are there some sort kind of counselors for the Naale students? How can parents contact the counselors?
Okay, so yes, definitely. Each Naale group has one or two counselors that are in charge of them 24/7. And of course, the parents receive the contact information of these counselors even before the beginning of the school year. So definitely they are able to contact them directly, email, WhatsApp, phone number, and be in touch with them. And also the counselor by themselves will send regular updates about what's going on in the group, in school, etc. So there's definitely a lot of communication between the school, the counselors, and the parents.
A question that we had another question about the entrance exam. Are they mainly in math or science or something else?
So no, exactly the opposite. We do check the math level, English level for those who are not from English-speaking countries, and also the Hebrew levels. But this is more for us to give a general understanding of the level at which the students are currently, because every country has different math studies, different levels. So we know that. And that's why we ask for the report cards of the previous 2 years, because that gives us a better understanding of how the students did academically. Our tests are more towards the general adaptation, general intelligence, not something specific, and social skills, etc. So something more general about the personality, about the students, and how they will be able to cope with a change of moving to Israel, being in a boarding school, etc.
Is the number of students that we accept every year limited?
So basically, till this year, no, the number was never limited, and we accept every student. We accept every student who passed the screening and was found a student that can join us. Right now, this year, we currently have some technical or bureaucratic issues with the numbers. It's something we hope to solve in the near future. And hopefully this year also there won't be any limitation on our numbers.
Okay. Are Naale students completely separate from the other school students? And maybe can you speak a little bit more about how Naale works in the different schools and youth villages?
Okay. So basically, one of our goals in Naale is make to not separate the Naale from also native-born Israeli students. So all the boarding schools we work with has also Israeli students on campus. Um, we do have the Naale students will have their own dorm that will have their own staff, but the building next door can be a dorm of Israelis. And the same thing about the school. They study most lessons of studying separate classes because the Hebrew level, so they can't study with native-born Israelis because the Hebrew level is obviously different. And also the matriculation exam that Naale students take are a little bit different than native-born Israelis. On the other hand, we do have joint activities, and in some of the classes like English, like math, major subjects, you can study sometimes also in Israeli classrooms. So it's a kind of a back and forth. So on the one hand, the Naale students have their own privacy, their own building, their own group. But on the other hand, they have a lot of opportunity also to get to know Israelis and make Israelis friends and be in touch with them as well.
Okay. What about health insurance? Do Naale students have health insurance while they're on the program?
Yes, definitely. All the students who join the Naale receive a full health insurance, covered everything that they need while in Israel. Even some basic dental care is covered by the program. So basically, the only things which are not covered by the health insurance are pre-existing conditions. So if somebody has some kind of a previous chronic illness, this is something we have to know about, and this is something that is not covered in the insurance. But all the rest, if you're feeling not well, you have to go to the doctor, hospital, etc., something happened, accident, all that is covered by the insurance.
Okay. Can students leave the dorms or school during the week? Is there a curfew?
So in most schools, students can leave during the week, but it's supervised. So the students, before they leave, they have to get permission from the counselors, and they have to know and let them know beforehand when they're coming back. And obviously, there is a curfew in most schools. Most schools, somewhere around 9 o'clock, 8 to 9 o'clock, everybody has to be on campus. And of course, somewhere usually around 10 o'clock, 9:30, all the students have to be in the dorms. So there is a curfew, but the students are also able to go out. Usually it's once a week, maybe sometimes twice a week, but again, with supervision and with permission from the counselors.
Evelyn asks regarding the health insurance, what about students who have braces? Do they have to go back to get them tightened, or is that covered in Israel?
So it's not covered by the insurance, but obviously in Israel we have a lot of orthodontic doctors. So the schools can help the parents be in touch with the clinic, and that's something that parents have to finance. But of course, you can do these treatments here in Israel as well.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, what subjects do they usually start? Like, what when students come in Naale the first year, what subjects do they usually start out with?
Okay, so basically, as I said before, one of the major part of the first year is Hebrew, which is about 16 to 18 weeks, 18 hours, sorry, a week. Um, and then usually in the first year, the students will also study English, math, science, gym, which is mandatory in Israel as well twice a week. And then each school will maybe have one or two more subjects, sometimes general knowledge subjects. If somebody's Hebrew is at high level, they can also start doing some literature, etc. Some school will start also a major subject in the second half of the year if their Hebrew is good enough. So that's basically the first year. And then the second year already, all the subjects for the matriculation are joined in instead of the Hebrew. So then you add also the Hebrew grammar and Bible and civil studies and history and literature, and also one or two majors, which are subjects which students can choose from a few subjects.
Okay. How many students share a room?
So in most boarding schools, there are 4 students per room. So 4 students per room, and each room will have their own shower and bathroom.
Okay. Do you mind just giving a brief overview of what the application process looks like?
Okay, basically the application process is quite simple. We have an online registration system, so the parents, students go online, open a registry, and then they just have to fill in some information, upload the documents which are required, and at that point, our regional manager will be in touch with the family, and then they will update the family when we have the screenings, etc. It's very important to make sure to register as soon as possible if you're interested in the program, so we have your information, and to make sure to complete this year, especially all the documentation before when the screening will be. So once we have the screenings, we won't have any delays in being able to give the families answers whether they're accepted or not.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's see. What time does school usually start and finish?
So most schools will I think 8 o'clock will be the time when school starts. In the religious schools, you'll have tefillah, davening before the first class usually, but most schools, so it will be around 8 o'clock. So you wake up usually somewhere around 6:30, 7 o'clock, and make sure to have breakfast. In all the schools, they have breakfast, of course, before. So you go to the dining room, and after that, you start your day.
Can you talk a little bit about the different schools and the different religious levels and what that means?
So basically, in general, we have schools according to languages. So general track education. So we have schools for Spanish and Portuguese speakers, schools for English speakers, which include also countries from Europe that not necessarily speak English, or Asia, etc. And we also have a school for French speakers. And then we have four Orthodox schools. Two of them are Chabad schools for girls. So this is for daughters of Shlichei Chabad in all over the place. And we have two schools which we are Orthodox schools. One is Yeshivat Shalabim. Yeshivat Shalabim is basically for students who come from Orthodox families or want to live an Orthodox living. So you have to keep Shabbat. Of course, you have to wear yarmulke, pray 3 times a day, and learn extensive hours of limudei kodesh, of religious studies, of Gemara, etc. And the same thing, Amana. Amana is schools for girls, for religious girls. So again, keep Shabbat, of course, all the schools keep kosher, so that's a given. And again, you have tefillah in the morning, and you have a dress code, etc. So basically, the Orthodox schools are for families and students who want a religious lifestyle and are okay with it. And the other
Okay.
schools are what we call general track schools. So this is for students that are not interested in keep Shabbat, etc. In all the schools, we will study Bible. It's mandatory in Israel. And of course, in all schools, the food is kosher. It's also mandatory in Israel. But the lifestyle is obviously different in the religious schools and the other schools.
Okay. What about laundry? How do Naale students do laundry?
So basically, there are two systems. Some schools have a general laundry place in the school itself, in the boarding school. So the students will just bring the laundry, and it will be laundered for them, and they get it back. And some schools will just have a laundry machine, a dryer in the building or next in the area somewhere. And then each student will do their own laundry. Each group will have their own laundry day or something like that. And they will do their own laundry. So these are the two systems.
Okay. A question about the registration forms. Some of the forms say they need to be signed with the Naale representatives. How does that usually work?
So basically what happens, of course, when we do the screenings, the Naale representative is present, and then the parents have to sign in front of the Naale representative. They sign as well, and then the parents upload it to the system together with the Naale signature.
Okay. Can you talk a little bit about the Aniers program?
Yes, definitely. So Meyers is basically a co-program with the Technion. And the goal of this program is to get more engineers, to have more engineers in Israel. This is the goal of the program. So basically, this is for students who are interested in the science, math, and also good at it. So if somebody wants to be accepted into the Meyers program, has to do an additional acceptance test to check the mathematical thinking, physical thinking. And then the program is quite a strenuous program, a lot of emphasis on the science. They have special robotics program, they have aeronautics program. So this is really for students who like the science field, are good at it, and they're thinking that when they graduate, they will be interested in going into the Technion and do a first degree in science or engineering. And that the program itself, the students will also receive a full scholarship for the university studies. So it's a very special program, very demanding and challenging program, but for those who like that, it's a very good program.
Okay, a question came up a couple of times. Students who don't enter the program this year, can they apply next year from inside Israel?
From inside Israel.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically if somebody, for instance, are in the 8th grade, they were not accepted, so obviously they can try again to be accepted into the 10th grade after they do the 9th grade. And sometimes we have cases like that when somebody is maybe a little bit not mature enough or not ready enough to leave home. So we tell them, listen, everything's fine, but we think maybe it's better for you to wait a year and come again. Somebody already came to Israel, so basically it will mean that they came with the parents, because usually teenagers won't just come by themselves, I'm guessing. So in that case, then Naale only deals with students whose parents live abroad. So if somebody already came with their parents and made Aliyah, then they definitely can also apply and study directly in the same schools where we have Naale students, but they won't study via the Naale program. They will study via the Israeli system for students who want to go to boarding schools or even just be a day student. But they are able to study in the same schools where there are Naale classes and students.
Can you speak a little bit more about Hadassim?
Yeah, definitely. Hadassim is a very, very good school. It's located in Even Yehuda, which is central of Israel, a bit north. And it's a school that is especially for students who come from Spanish, Portuguese-speaking countries. So most of the students there will be from Brazil, from Argentina, Mexico, and other countries in Central and South America. They also have students from France living there. And in the past 2 years, even students from former Soviet Union also study there. So they have a lot of Naale students, about 160 Naale students. And it's also quite a big school. So they have about 2,000 students in that school. And it's considered to be a very, very high-level school. And a very big campus, very nice campus. So that's definitely a good school.
And then to follow up that question, students, so Hadassim has a French-speaking program, but I think this goes for all the schools. Do the students have counselors that speak their language?
So yes, definitely the goal, and in all schools it's true, to make sure that at least one of the staff members speak the language of the students. I can't say it's 100% like that, but all the schools make a very big effort to find staff members who speak the language of the students. Definitely for English it's quite easier. When it's French speaking or Spanish, Portuguese, it's sometimes a little bit more challenging, but still in most schools, definitely for the first year, they'll have somebody who speaks their language. In the 11th and 12th grade, many times already the students know Hebrew, know English, so they will be able to have a staff member who doesn't necessarily speak the language. And also some schools try to have social workers that also speak some languages, so the students can also, if they need somebody to speak to, also go to them as well.
Okay. How many Naale students are in Mosenson? That's another question that we got.
So probably somewhere around in the ballpark of 150 Naale students, I think, give or take. And the school itself has over 1,000 students, and the boarding school has about 250 students altogether. So this is
maybe if you could give an overview about how many Naale students are there in total every year.
I think we answered that. So we have about 750 Naale students who join every year, and we have about 26 schools across Israel. And altogether, next year, we estimate we'll have over 2,000 students in Israel. So definitely quite a few students.
Yeah. Um, okay, let me see. Um, okay, so a question regarding Aliyat Noar, that is the program for students who want to join Naale, but they are currently living in Israel with their families. Their families made Aliyah beforehand. Can you explain a little bit about how that works?
So very briefly, basically, any Israeli citizen who wants to live or study in a boarding school in Israel is able to do so. And the organization or the offices that are in charge of placing Israeli students in boarding schools in Israel is called Aliyat Noar. So basically, this is relevant for if a family, for instance, makes Aliyah in July. So, and they want their kid to study together with Naale students. So as I said, because they're already making Aliyah with the parents, they can't come through Naale. So they are able to come through Aliyat Noar and also, for instance, study Tayanot if the and study in the same classroom with Naale students, be in the same dorm building with Naale students, but they'll be via the Aliyat Noar track. There are a little bit differences with a travel fare allowance they get. Obviously, there's no health insurance because it's via the parents. So there are a few differences. But if you look at the day-to-day life, it's very, very similar to that of Naale students.
Okay. What about students that are home they join Naale?
What about student that?
Sorry, I can't hear you. Chaim, can you speak again?
Yes, I didn't hear the question.
No, wait, I can't hear you. Hold on. Say something. Can you hear
Can you
us?
hear me now?
Nope, we can't hear you.
Yes.
All right, hold on 1 second. I'm gonna exit you and then you're just gonna join the call again. So give us a
Okay.
second. Oh, hold on. Or not.
I can exit
Hold
myself.
on. Do you mind leaving and then coming back? Great. All right, guys, bear with us. Bear with us. There we go. Okay, hold on. So Chaim's gonna join us. Feel free to continue asking your questions. Chaim, a little bit. Say
Can
something
you hear me
again.
now?
Excellent. Yes. All right. So we asked about homeschool students who have been homeschooled.
Okay. So homeschool. So definitely we do, every year we accept a few students who were homeschooled. Usually in most places, it varies from country to country, but usually they do have some kind of a report card to show. So something, whether it's from the state or something. So we do like to see that. But there's definitely, if you've been homeschooled, it doesn't prevent you from applying for the program.
Okay. We had a student who asked the question about Aniers. They're not interested in studying engineering, but they're more interested in medicine. Is Aniers a program for them, or is a different program also a good option?
So basically, in general, in order to be in order to be accepted to medicine in Israel, the main thing you need to have is a very high average of your matriculation certificate. So, so it doesn't really matter which school you go to. So if you go to Aniers or you go to another school, your main goal is to get a very high grades, because that's how students are accepted in Israel, at least for medicine. So the main question in that case is, do you also find the engineering aspects, the computers, the robotics, etc., interesting? Yes or no? If you also like that, there's no reason why you shouldn't study 10 years and then apply for medicine. If this is something which you don't really find interest in, there's no point going to 10 years, and then you can also go to any other school. Just a few weeks ago, I spoke to one of our students who applied for medicine. So definitely Naale students who study in any of our schools are able to apply for medicine studies also later.
Okay. People are asking about the screening days. They're very nervous about if the corona restrictions are very strict come July, or if their country doesn't allow them to travel. What are the options that we have that we're thinking of at this time?
Well, basically, the way we look at it, if the travel restriction will be such that don't allow us to do the screenings in July or August, that means that they also won't allow the students to join in September. So in that case, we'll have a problem. But as it seems right now, from what we see in the world and how the situation is developing, again, today, because we don't know what's going to be 2 or 3 weeks from now. But right now, the way the situation looks like, it does look like that around July, if everything stays like it now, in most countries already, we see a drop in the number of hospitalization, a drop in the number of people who are infected. So if this will continue, then we estimate that July will be definitely something doable. We, of course, we're monitoring the situation, and I estimate that in about 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks from today, we'll be much smarter about what's going on. Right now, a lot of countries are opening the quarantines. So the main question, which nobody can answer right now, what will happen after that? Will again this cause an increase in the number of infections or not? So I think in a week or two, we'll know a little bit more, and if the megama, how do you say megama?
Oh,
Well, if the situation will be continuing to calm down and go like less and less people, then we think that July will be definite option.
okay. So how do students choose the schools? Do we choose the schools for the students, or do the students choose themselves?
So basically, all the families are able to choose a school ahead of time, so they can do it on our registration system. They pick the school that they're interested in, and most students will be accepted into the school that they chose. In some cases, if we see in the screening day that the school of choice, for whatever reason, is not maybe the best option, we will let the family know and say, listen, you chose Ayanot, or you chose Mosinzon, and we think maybe Ayanot is better for you, or we think maybe Mosinzon is better for you, because they have some differences. At some time, certain students we feel might excel more in one of the two schools. So we do sometimes give our recommendation, but in most cases, it's a family are able to choose.
Okay. So this question was asked before. Where do Naale students live?
So the Naale students lives on campus. So all the campuses where we have Naale schools, they also have dormitories. So the dormitory will be on campus. And as we said before, each group had their own building, and each building there were about 4 students per room. And this is where they sleep. And that's it.
Okay. I think we're going to answer one or two more questions. So write your questions now, in the meantime, and hold on. I think the next question that we're going to ask is, okay, so this question came up. I'm 12 years old. Can I apply to the program?
Okay. So basically, 12 years old mean right now you're probably in the 8th grade,
Or
usually,
seventh grade?
or 7th grade, depends. So in order to be accepted into the Naale program, the minimum age has to be 13 and 9 months on September 1st, 2020. That's the minimum age to be accepted into the 9th grade. So basically, that means that you probably have to wait at least 1 more year, and then you'll be able to register for the program in order to be accepted into the 9th grade.
Okay. And just a follow-up question to that, can someone who's too young to join the program now, can they start the registration process?
Yeah, definitely. If you do recommend to register already, if you're sure that you want to join the program or you're thinking about it, you definitely can register. There's no obligation by registering. It just gives you more time to do get all the documents in order, and of course, it will make us able to be in touch with you the upcoming year to let you know what's going on.
Okay. Okay, one question that we have is, do Naale students get to travel?
Get to travel where?
Like during the school year, do they have trips?
Ah,
Or can they go out during free weekends?
So definitely. So first of all, during the weekends, students can go and spend the weekend with their family, or those who don't have family, the schools will find host families for them. So this obviously during the holidays also. As we said, during the week they can go out to town, and then all the schools will have at least one overnight trip throughout the year, so that at least a 2 or 3 days trip the students can join or have to join basically. Usually also Naale will have 1 or 2 trips throughout the school year, again with all the Naale students so they can go. And then there are also day trips from the schools to go visit different cities, different places. So basically, definitely our goal as a Naale program is that the Naale students, during the 3 to 4 years that they're here, really get to know all of Israel, from Eilat up to Ramat Golan, because we really feel that one of the special things about being in Israel is not only studying in Israel, but also getting to know Israel, its different cities, its different lifestyles. So definitely something that we try to get our students to see as much as possible.
Okay, and the last question that we have is how much Hebrew do Naala teachers use in the first year in the classrooms?
Well, it really varies between the teachers, the students, the level of the students, different classrooms, the subject. So definitely, but the goal is for the teachers to try as much as possible to use Hebrew. But of course, the point is for the students to understand. So obviously, the teacher is not going to speak Hebrew if nobody understands the word the same. So usually something gradual. So in the beginning, it will be mostly English or Spanish or Portuguese, etc. And as the year progresses, they will start moving more and more to Hebrew. On the other hand, for instance, in math, from the beginning, they will start already using a lot of Hebrew because it's more about the math and it's important to learn the math terms in Hebrew. So in order not to be confused. So it really depends on the subject, the teacher, but it is a goal of us to get the students to speak Hebrew as early as possible.
Okay, thank you so much. Just a few side notes before we end. Thank you to everyone for joining us. Thank you, Chaim, for answering all of our questions.
Thank you for
Um, we we plan on having more of these in the future, so keep an eye out. We're also planning on having a Facebook Live on Tuesday at 4:30. So if you're on Facebook, definitely check us out there. Feel free to reach out to your regional managers. Ravit's in the comments. She's a regional manager in North America on the East Coast, and we have many others who speak French, Spanish, Italian. So feel free to reach out either here on Instagram or via email or on Facebook. You can
our
definitely reach
website.
out to us there. And our website, definitely check out our website.
If you
Um,
the website, you can just leave us a message and then we'll just get back to you. It's very, very simple. And also, by the way,
exactly.
this Sunday, I just got a message. This Sunday, had a sim. We'll have a live, don't remember if it's Facebook or Zoom, with all the parents who are interested to send their kids to Adasim from Brazil, but it will be in Portuguese, Spanish. So you're definitely welcome to join that as well.
Yeah. All right. And have a great day. Feel free to reach out. We're happy to speak to you. And stay safe and stay
Thanks a
healthy.
lot. Shalom, shalom.
Bye.